Welcome to Speakin Mark.
Shut up and sit down.
Alright, welcome to the show. I am your host with the most, named Pot Roast.
Pot roast.
And along with me is my co-host with slightly less than the most.
Chili con carne.
Chile con carne. Alright, so
From
we
the inner
are your
streets.
hosts of this lovely show called Speakin Mark. And this is a wrestling-based podcast, but do not fear, do not limit yourself to that criteria alone. Because
Don't
we
you dare
will
be sour.
Don't you dare be sour. We will be talking about other things at other times, maybe not, but primarily this is going to be a professional wrestling-based podcast. And today we're going to be talking about something that has blown wrestling headlines recently. Not given it head, but, blown them up. Which is something that happened in the WWE, the brand
Banana
split,
split.
or as they're calling it, the brand extension.
The banana extension.
The banana extension, SmackDown Live, and Monday Night Raw, vaguely similar to the original logo back in '93, but whatever.
Love it, Marvel.
You love it, Mario? Isn't that copyrighted? I think Bradshaw copyrighted that? I don't know.
I'm sure he didn't.
Whatever. Bradshaw, please don't sue us. We love you, man.
I don't.
Barn. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the brand extension, brand split, whatever you'd like to call it. And despite the fact that I was actually an advocate to kill the brand extension,
Why?
kill SmackDown and Raw having separate rosters back around 2011.
I loved it.
I'm very excited because SmackDown was the B show. That's why it was literally the B show.
It was afterwards too.
Huh?
It was afterwards as well.
What do you mean?
Even
This brand
after
extension?
everything was back together as one brand.
Oh yeah, but there were certain reasons that you would watch SmackDown regardless, like when Jericho made an appearance on SmackDown, or like there was, whatever, Social Outcasts were on SmackDown or something.
I mean, they were on both shows, so there was no need to even watch.
Yeah, but there were certain things that were held on SmackDown. Listen, fuck off, okay? So yeah, the brand extension, brand split, we're very excited about it. First of all, Chile, why don't you start off by giving some of your thoughts on the WWE draft that took place last week?
I felt that Raw got all the best people, at least the majority.
Why?
I mean, look at the roster. They got freaking... they got Brock, they got Seth, they got Roman, they got Sammy, they got Kevin,
Finn.
they got Finn, they have New Day.
Yeah, my wifey, Sasha
And,
Banks. Haha, you're funny, huh?
Ratchet.
I mean, SmackDown, if you look at it, the roster's not that bad. I mean, they have their quote-unquote grizzled vets. They have the Cenas, they have the Birdies. Did Sheamus get drafted to SmackDown?
No, he's on Raw.
He's on Raw, okay. So
And I just feel like
Birdie-
SmackDown has more work to do.
SmackDown...
Like, Raw has already the head start.
Raw has the established guys. SmackDown has the guys who are going to be established, basically. SmackDown's got, American Alpha, Corbin, Apollo, Ziggler, mind-blowing, by the way. Ziggler, who's been an underrated talent for so long. They've got your established guys. They've got AJ Styles, they've got John Cena, they've got Birdie. Kalisto, who's I believe is going to be
lucha
like
things.
he's doing his lucha thing, yeah. God damn it! And I think they're really trying to build him up to be the next Rey Mysterio. That's why he's on the brand by himself. He's not in the cruiserweight division.
Which I'm surprised.
At one point or another, I'm sure he's going to contend for the IC title with Miz or whoever's the champ at that time. They've got the guy at the moment, the dude, Dean Ambrose, WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Yeah, they're calling it the WWE World Heavyweight Championship again.
This is not the Universal Championship.
They went through the brief period, you remember, like right before Battleground, where they were just calling it the WWE Championship?
I mean, when they were doing that, I thought it was going to be like...
Yeah, they were going to bring back the big gold
yeah.
belt. Yeah, they were going to bring back the big gold belt and call it the World Heavyweight, but man, oh man, did Mick and Stephanie
Do something.
fuck up. Yeah, do something about that, because that announcement was just horrid.
I laughed
We're gonna
my
call
ass
it
off.
the WWE Universal Championship. That sounds like something straight out of SmackDown versus Raw. Was it SmackDown versus Raw 2010?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. The one with Cena as the front guy on the cover, I think. For those of you that know what we're talking about, I'm sure you're going to know what I'm alluding to. The Champion of Champions Championship, CCC. That just... It looked like a pretty cool belt, but the name was just awful. I think that was the same thing that had the United Kingdom with McIntyre, Sheamus, and Barrett. Remember that?
Oh yeah,
stable, the heel stable they
the
formed?
United Kingdom.
The United Kingdom, yeah, that's right. So what are your thoughts on what happened this past Monday and Tuesday on the first Raw of a new era, first SmackDown of a new era, following what transpired at Battleground? You know, Dean Ambrose retaining, whatever else happened. I think both mid-card champions retained as well. Darren Young was not made great.
Yes, it was.
Darren Young's theme song is popping, bro. I don't care what anyone
bro.
says. It is
popping.
It's legit. His theme song is pretty legit. But yeah, give your thoughts on what happened on SmackDown and Raw. What do you think?
I mean, Raw knocked it out of the park.
Why is that?
I mean, they it's my beautiful drawing. Basically, Raw, they did everything right. Basically, all the champions, like...
Universal Championship, really?
I mean, aside from that.
Everything is right?
I mean, at least they have a new heavyweight title.
Fair
Because it
enough.
obviously was going to be needed. They have Finn, which I was surprised that Finn was going to become #1 contender. I was expecting Roman.
Here's what I was
Regardless of what
expecting.
happened.
I was expecting what pretty much everyone that's listening was expecting. I figured Finn would win. I knew Roman would win. And when it came down to it, I figured they would give Finn a decent match and then Roman would bury him at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And when Finn hit the sling blade and then the drop kick, friggin' coup de grace, and got the 3 count, I literally was about to, I was ecstatic. I was like, what just happened? And we just exchanged looks and we were like, Roman just got buried. We love you, Vince. We love you. And I was really expecting Roman to turn heel, but he cut his little I'm the guy promo, babyface promo on, man, I really hope he beats Seth, or whatever he said.
Yeah, I really hope he beats Seth at SummerSlam. 'Cause
He's
after that, I'm gonna kick his ass or some
he's
shit.
a tough kid. He's a tough kid, whatever he said. Disappointed Roman didn't turn, but overall, Raw, I agree with you, made some really, really, groundbreaking moves. They introduced a new heavyweight title. They had club feud with New Day right off the bat.
They had a pay-per-view show.
Yeah, they had club feud with New Day right off the bat. Enzo and Cass, for some reason, are feuding with the Shining Stars. I'll never understand.
I don't think they
why.
are. I think it's didn't someone else come out? Who?
No.
Yeah, after it was New Day, Shining Stars, and then another tag team
New
showed
Day
up.
and Shining Stars. It was Enzo and Cass and the Shining Stars.
I mean, yeah, Enzo and Cass, Shining Stars, and another tag team showed up.
No, I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure.
No.
Yes.
Let us know
I'm pretty sure there was
in
another
the
tag team.
comments section, review section, whatever this goes up on, if something happened following Raw, because I have short-term memory loss, supposedly, and I can't
You do?
remember. Yeah, I believe Raw made some fantastic moves. Sasha Banks, my baby girl, became women's champion, which was fantastic after a great match with Charlotte. They're going to have probably a rubber match at SummerSlam. It's going to be fantastic. I'm very excited for that. What are your thoughts on SmackDown? And what happened on SmackDown? Oh, and your boy Machka looked strong.
Machka.
He
didn't look strong. He got pinned by Finn.
No, but he looked strong in the match.
Oh, in the match, yes.
He looked strong, yeah. Gotta make Machka look strong. We gotta make Machka great again. What do you think about SmackDown?
SmackDown was, it didn't live up to the Raw's,
I thought it did well.
But it did well. I didn't say it didn't. It just didn't live up to Raw.
I
but
mean,
that
they
doesn't
had
mean
quite a few shocking moments that Raw didn't have, in my opinion.
like what other than Dolph.
Okay, Dolph being one. Two, Heath Slater's amazing promo.
Yeah.
And Rhino. And three, which I think you obviously forgot, Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like they're doing it. They're getting there. Like they're doing it all slowly.
Oh yeah.
As
of
where
course.
Raw blew their load on the first episode.
Yeah.
And where I'm afraid now that next episode of Raw is gonna be like, what do you do now?
Well, that's the thing. I feel like Raw can build on what they did, this time, because obviously now for the next 3 weeks it's going to be the showdown between Finn Balor and Seth.
Yeah.
And, they're going to be cutting promos on each other or whatever, and Seth's going to probably work as the heel. Finn's going to be the babyface. I must say I was shocked that Dolph Ziggler got named number one contender. I'm super excited. If anyone's deserving of a contender spot, it's definitely him. He's been jobbing for the last 5-6 years, and he's earned it. I was surprised though, because it's pretty obvious that Club's going to be, or Gallows and Anderson are going to be number one contenders for the tag titles. Finn's the number one contender for the Universal title. Oh god, that just sounds awful. And
You get used to it.
I was expecting AJ Styles to be the number one contender for the WWE World Heavyweight title, so that it would be the, quote unquote club takeover at, or I'm supposing Balor Club takeover at SummerSlam, where they would all win the titles in a very Evolution-esque fashion, whatever. And it would be cool, all the heels went over and whatnot. That would be the first time that a big heel group went over in a long time. I think Nexus was the last, or Shield actually.
Nah, the core, bro.
The core, yeah, new Nexus. Yeah, I mean, it was it wasn't disappointing though. I will
No,
say
I definitely enjoyed the show.
SmackDown was fantastic. Raw was out of this world. Dolph Ziggler being named number one contender, Finn Balor being named number one contender. What are your expectations coming out of the rivalries of Surge? Wow, of Seth.
Surge.
Yeah, Surge. Of Seth and Finn and Ziggler and Ambrose.
Well, from Finn and Seth, I expect nothing but good.
Where do you think it's going to go direction-wise, storyline-wise?
I mean, they can use this to have Finn start up his club with Anderson and Gallows.
Oh, like a
I
Balor
feel like that's
club?
gonna happen.
Oh, so you think that AJ's out and it's just Balor Club now?
Not necessarily that AJ's out. It's just that since AJ's on blue, they can't do much. So it's gonna be, hey, we got Finn now, and then eventually, Finn and Club take over Raw and all that, and then by the time, possibly they're obviously gonna do another draft later on.
Well, that's okay. Interesting proposition.
And that helps for AJ if he ends up SmackDown or the other way around. Then
Okay,
AJ's like, what the fuck, guys?
I'm going to interrupt you for just a second. Remember your spot in your story. On a draft, it's an interesting topic you brought up.
Yes.
Do you believe they're going to have another WWE draft? Or do you believe it's going to be the draft lottery like it was, where it was like, Raw randomly gets a superstar that's generated by the, spinning wheel or whatever?
It's probably going to be like that, because it would make no sense to put everyone back on nothing and then re-pick them again. That wouldn't make sense.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you, but I also think that they should have, they really could use the draft as a money-making thing. For example, how the last few years before Brock, obviously, Taker didn't wrestle for titles. Taker solely was booking himself on the streak. That's it. That's all it was. It was the streak. And obviously, there was a grudge match between him and Hunter because he retired Shawn or whatever. And then, him and Punk with the whole Paulie thing.
Yeah.
Or not Paulie, Paul Bearer thing. And there were storylines, but primarily it was still based around, the undefeated streak. Do you think it would be a good idea? One, do you think it's possible that they could use this to make money? And two, do you think it would be a good idea if the WWE, and I think it's a good idea, used something like a series of matchups featuring inter-brand competition, almost like a pay-per-view, like Bragging Rights was,
Bragging Rights?
or I would see it more like a series of competitions throughout the weeks on Raw and SmackDown, where like Raw guys come on SmackDown, SmackDown guys come on Raw, or they could do an interpromotional pay-per-view.
I mean,
It
I don't
doesn't
see
really
that
matter.
happening. I see it happening at interpromotional pay-per-view.
No,
I
yeah,
don't see
but
that happening on the
my
regular
case,
show.
No, not the regular show. I'm saying it's a special event for the draft. So,
Okay.
like, for example,
Oh, basically
they-
you fight for
you
draft
fight
pick.
for draft
Yeah.
picks, exactly.
That
So,
definitely,
like,
that definitely makes sense.
right? I mean, I think that would be a good idea. I think that would definitely be. It's new for sure, and it would definitely be something that's extremely interesting. You know, having like I don't know, Seth represent Raw, and Styles represent SmackDown. That would be a really good matchup. That would be pay-per-view quality. In fact, they should have an interpromotional pay-per-view just for that, bragging rights or whatever they want to name it. You know, because. Yeah, I mean, you know, bragging rights when it was introduced seemed cool because it was like, oh, interbranded competition, that's sweet. But there was no purpose to it. It was literally just for bragging rights and some trophy, I think. But like,
Yeah, it was a trophy.
And SmackDown won like all 3 years that it was there, but like SmackDown was always still the B show.
Yeah.
Made no sense. I definitely think they should do that, and they should introduce like a. You know, for picks or something type of deal. It would place more importance on the draft lottery, or the draft, or whatever they choose to go with. But yeah,
I mean,
continue. You were saying about Styles and Balor and Club.
Oh yeah. Well, basically they would work to have the Balor Club finally happen, and then later on, when a draft would probably happen again, however it happens,
Right.
have AJ come in to the opposite show, or the other way around, whichever they would decide to do it. More than likely AJ would go to Raw.
Yeah, it's easier to draft one guy than three.
And then have it be either AJ joins, and then later on it implodes, or just right off the bat.
So you were basically seeing it as AJ versus Balor.
Yeah.
Nice.
For control of the club.
I agree. I would love to see how they go about that. It's definitely interesting. I don't know how they. What are your thoughts on Ambrose and Ziggler?
And Ziggler? I see this as Ziggler's chance to solidify himself as a main eventer.
Right. On SmackDown as one of the show closers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because if he can pull this off and everyone can get behind him.
Well, see, I'll refute that with this. People have been behind Ziggler for a long time. Ziggler's a hard worker.
But lately, no one really has.
That's the thing, and I myself even find myself sometimes like not really behind Ziggler because his act has basically become mundane. He comes out and does the same, 3-4 moves. It's almost like routine for him because he was so used to losing. Which I'm hoping this gives him that fresh of breath air, and it's like, wow, fresh of breath air. Good English.
English.
For any of you that listen to Talk is Jericho, and listen to the one with Bullet Club or a club on it, you'll get the little haha in there. But that was honestly a Freudian slip. Breath of fresh air for him, and it's remotivates him. And I feel like Ziggler and Ambrose could both get behind a rivalry with each other. Because those are two of the workhorses of the company. There's two of the hardest working guys there. Like, there's Rollins, there's Styles, Anderson Gallows. All these guys that are extremely hard. Berto, everyone that's an extremely hard worker in the company. But I feel like they have the potential to put on, show-stealing performances. Here's the question. Do one of them turn heel before SummerSlam, at SummerSlam, after SummerSlam?
I don't know. Ambrose is good being Ambrose. Like, I don't see Ambrose as a face or a heel. I just see him being Ambrose.
Well, yeah, Ambrose is drawing... Well, he's a babyface, right?
I mean, I know he is, but
yeah,
I mean, he's just Ambrose.
Ambrose is drawing money. That's the thing, as a babyface. So I don't see them turning him.
But Ziggler, I don't know.
I loved Ziggler as a heel. I really did. The whole show off, I am perfection, all the different things that he went through, the thing with AJ and Big E and everything. Like, I loved him as a heel. I thought he was awesome. He really did remind me of Shawn Michaels. And I marked out anytime he said show off. Like, it was cool. It really was cool. And then they turned him baby, and his career just went, he was spiraling downfall.
Because I see it more being like how Roman and Dean was, where it was just they
So
were
you
both
see it-
faces, and
They just wanted the title.
one of them tried to be more edgier, I guess. Roman cough. And then it all just culminates at SummerSlam. Whether they decide to give the title to Dolph or keep it with Dean.
I would be excited if Dean turned. I mean, Dolph turned.
Dolph turned?
Yeah. Dolph turned, I would be way more invested in this rivalry. I feel Dolph is natural as a heel. I think he's really good at drawing cheap heat.
Unless he wins, gets cocky, and that's when he turns heel.
I could see it. But, almost like a Danielson heel turn. Or, you remember back when Daniel Bryan turned at TLC on, I think, Big Show or something, where he was like, no, I'm not going to cash in, and then he came out.
Oh, and he cashed
in on Big Show, and he turned, and he had this real condescending attitude, led to Yes Move and everything. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what happens leading up to the weeks going into SummerSlam and SummerSlam weekend, and NXT has been doing fantastic. We'll talk about NXT in as always, of course. Yeah, and Papa Hunter's been doing amazing.
Papa
Hunter's been doing amazing. What are your thoughts on the brand split, taking into account prior brand split? What do you have to say about this brand split, taking into account the last one?
I mean, I feel like with this brand split, they would have to do exactly as they're saying that they're going to do with it, in terms of having it be about the superstars, not about the authority behind the superstars. Which I feel like that was mostly a good portion of the old brand split. Basically clashes with all the GMs and all that being a focal part of storylines and stuff.
Towards the latter end of it, I guess. But if you think about when the brand split first happened, Paulie was writing for SmackDown, and it was out of this world. They had, you had the SmackDown 6, Edge, and Eddie and everybody. Cena, you had the SmackDown 6, and SmackDown was writing great storylines, revolutionary, almost borderline edgy storylines, Taker with Sarah and the kid, and then Brock goes and he almost throws her through a wall or something, and then Brock breaks his hand, and they had Los Guerreros, and then they had Benoit and Angle as a tag team. Big Show was a great heel. I think that was Big Show's last, in my opinion, good run, 03, when he was the heel show. He was feuding with
Not Jericho?
Jericho, actually, you're right. Jericho was fantastic. Yeah, I take that back. But when he was feuding with Mysterio and everybody, and they were Lesnar and Raw too. I mean, Raw was great. Raw had its fair share of rivalries that stood out.
Mm-hmm.
Raw had Matt Hardy and Edge in 05. It had your boy Big Papa Pump and Hunter doing the pose down, which was just high. And Cena came on the Raw, whatever. In my opinion, prior brand split was good. It was good, especially at the start. But it started to go downhill when, realistically, probably 2008, 9, maybe, when, they were basically just drafting random guys to be the face of SmackDown, because Batista was the young upcoming guy on Raw with Randy. Well,
young?
Fucking 43-year-old. The up-and-comer on Raw with Randy.
Mm-hmm.
Cena was the up-and-comer on SmackDown with Edge.
Yeah.
Cena and Edge get drafted to Raw. Randy and Batista get drafted to SmackDown. And then Cena and Edge stayed on Raw, and people were just bouncing around on SmackDown. You had Hunter, and then Batista stayed for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and Jeff Hardy went, Jericho. I think Batista went again after he announced it, after he like came back for his broken arm or something, and then Edge went, and they were trying to build all these guys of being the face of SmackDown, but SmackDown never really had a face because there were so many guys that were just being split in and out of it. Taker, you could argue, was the face of SmackDown because Taker never left SmackDown, but Taker wasn't prominent, you know, like he wasn't like the guy on SmackDown. It was Cena, I guess you could say. It was Bradshaw, really, and then, you know, Cena, and then it was Batista for a while.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Jeff for a little while, Hunter maybe, and then Edge. But you see what I mean? It was just jumping from person to person to person to person. And then after a while, SmackDown you couldn't really invest into because Raw had all the superstars, and SmackDown was basically becoming ECW 2.0, where they were just bringing new guys in and pushing them to the moon. Kali and Kozlov and, you know, all these guys that are just getting pushed to the sky and back.
That's exactly like it seems like whenever someone establishes themselves on SmackDown, they get moved to Raw.
Moved to Raw, exactly.
So they were just using SmackDown as a stepping stone to
It
get
was
a
the
big guy on
enhancement
Raw.
show. Exactly. And that is something going into do's and don'ts from prior brand split is don't do that. Don't use SmackDown to build up a guy and then send him to Raw. And if you do use SmackDown to build up a guy to eventually send to Raw, make sure you have someone on SmackDown to take his place, and you're not just sending like a big show from Raw over to, you know, oh yeah, he'll work the young guys, it's fine. Like, no. You know, like, for example, perfect example, Hunter. Hunter is doing a phenomenal job with that. NXT, it's still the developmental territory. No matter what people say, it's the developmental program for WWE. It's phenomenal. It's produced some of the best superstars that the modern era has seen. And if you think about it, Hunter has continuously provided just an ongoing, just plethora of superstars that he just continues to replace the guys that get called up with amazing new talent because he knows how to book them, he knows how to push them, and these are motivated people. And he can see the, you know, whatever it is. I don't know his thought process. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I think he does a fantastic job. Think about it. When NXT had its first what was a pay-per-view or like network special, it was NXT Arrival, right?
Mm-hmm.
Arrival. And they had the women's match. It was Paige and Emma. They were the two top gals in NXT. They had, wasn't it Seth and Jinder?
Yep, Seth and Jinder for the title.
And, you know, they were the two top guys. And then after Seth left, after Paige left, after Emma left, you know, it wasn't this void that they had to fill. Why? Because they had Sasha step up, they had Charlotte step up, they had Bayley, they had Becky for the women's division, and then for the guys, they had Adrian Neville, they had Corey Graves, they had Sami Zayn, and then eventually Kevin Owens came in. And these were classic matches these guys and girls were putting on. So it wasn't like, wow, this was so much better when Paige and Emma were here, or damn, this was so much better when Rollins was here. No, it was like, holy shit, did you see Neville, bro? Did you see him? Or like, dude, Sasha's on fire, like whatever. And then Sasha, Charlotte, or let's go in chronological order. Neville gets called up. Sami wins the title. Okay, Sami is supposed to get his call up. KO wins the title. KO gets the call up. Finn wins the title. Divas wise, Charlotte is getting primed for her call up. Sasha wins the title. Sasha getting primed for her call up, and Bayley wins the title. And then Sasha, Bayley, and Becky get called up.
No, Bayley didn't get called up.
Oh, sorry. Sasha, Charlotte, and Becky get called up. And you know, after that, they pushed Carmella, they pushed Nia Jax, Alexa Bliss got some more TV time. And even in the tag team division, you know, like after the Ascension got called up and got completely ruined, might I add. After Breeze got called up, you know, they had Ty 10 to take his place. After Ascension gets called up, they have, you know, who's the next big tag team for
American Alpha.
No, they had Enzo and Cass to.
No.
They had Enzo and Cass to you know, And then, along with Enzo and Cassidy, Vaudevillains, they had American Alpha, the what are they called? The no flips, just fists guys.
The Revival.
The Revival. Hideo Shinsuke is there primed to take Finn's spot. Samoa Joe.
Yep.
All these different guys in NXT that should be used. Really, that system and platform should be used as an example for SmackDown, where it's like, hey, fine, if you're gonna call up a whoever, I don't know, say Apollo becomes a superstar SmackDown. If you want to call him up to Raw, fine. Make sure that there's an NXT call up to take Apollo's place. Like have like a, whoever, Ty Dillinger called up, or have like Nakamura, or have like whoever, Hideo, like just someone ready. That's a big do and don't. Don't bury SmackDown and just make it the place to prime talent to send to Raw to get fed to Cena and Roman, and do make SmackDown its own individual brand that has its own individual storylines and its own individual talent that is showcased like it did back in the day with the SmackDown 6 and with the SmackDown's, Divas division or whatever, and make it different. Make it different from Raw, which I think they are doing. I think it's going great so far. The shows are focusing in separate directions, and I really like that. I'm curious to see if SmackDown introduces its own tag titles or not, but I'm sure that'll be brought up when Alpha makes its debut next week. And
Do you think they're gonna do a women's title?
I think they should do a women's title. Yes, I think that Becky Lynch is deserving.
I think Eva Marie is very deserving of a women's title. She's worked very hard throughout her whole career, and I think that yeah. There you go, Eva Marie, all red.
Get out of my house.
All red for blue.
Get out of my house. I think Becky is deserving to carry the division on SmackDown. I love that they introduced new faces, Carmella and Bliss, and Nia on Raw, exactly. Tamina didn't get drafted, but that's fine.
She's the second hottest free agent.
No, Heath, then Rhino, and
Exactly, Heath is the hottest.
Heath is the hottest.
Draft pick.
Heath didn't get drafted.
Well, he's the hottest free agent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Sign Heath, hashtag sign Heath. Get it trending, people. But yeah, very, very interesting play out based on all the hype that the WWE draft had. There were huge shockers, of course, and then not shockers, obviously. Seth getting drafted number 1, we all predicted it. Finn going number 3, shocking. Unexpected for me. I didn't think he was going that early, for sure. Sasha ending up on Raw was a shocker for me. KO and Sammy ending up on the same brand was a shock for me.
I thought Sam was gonna go to SmackDown.
Anything else that really stood out to you in the draft? Cena getting drafted so late kind of threw me off too. Brock getting drafted so early kind of threw me off as well.
Brock early?
Yeah. Brock was 7th for Raw or something, or 7th overall?
No, he was within the top 5.
Yeah, overall.
I mean, I expected Brock to be, before the whole, UFC scandal thing. I thought he was gonna be number 1 or number 2.
That's what they said originally. I think Brock was scheduled to be the number 1 pick, and then Vince changed it.
I mean, that makes sense. They want to pick, Brock as number 1 after all that.
The roid guy.
It's just funny considering they're not gonna
punish him
for that.
After Roman got fed.
I mean, which makes sense because of their wellness policy.
I guess technically he didn't violate WWE.
No, that's not even why, because they said that they don't test part-time guys. Brock's a part-time guy.
Which doesn't make sense, because...
I mean, it makes sense, because if you have a guy like The Rock who does movies off the wazoo, and then comes back for a quick match, and for whatever reason he's on...
Adderall or something.
Yeah. And they test him...
Roman!
And they test him, a week before WrestleMania, because he has a big match or whatever, and then they're going to suspend him? They're going to keep him off WrestleMania?
Fair enough. I can see your point. But then again, you got to understand Rocky is not the same part-time that Brock is. Rock working one match a year is not the same as Brock having a committed schedule to work a certain X amount of matches a year, because this is still Brock's full-time job. Rocky literally does this, when he has the time. Jericho does this when he has the time. Austin makes appearances when he has the time. This is still Brock's full-time gig. Brock still gets paid to be a WWE superstar, to be a competitor in the WWE. Granted, he takes most of the months throughout the year off, but that's just a part of his deal. He needs to make appearances. This is his job. This is all he does, basically.
And the thing is, he doesn't have to do it.
Yeah, I know, but he signed the contract, and this is all he does. It's not like he does anything else. This is it. He goes hunting or whatever, but I don't even think he has a show anymore. So this is all he does. So, in my opinion, you can't really compare him to Rock, because Rock is busy 24 hours a day, and it's cool whenever Rocky takes the time out and has the time, or Jericho has the time to do a WWE run. It's awesome, but them doing other things and being on like Adderall or roids or whatever, that's okay, but Brock does this throughout the year. This is it. When he's not doing this, he's at home, right? So Brock should face the repercussions, in my opinion, that a full-time superstar faces, that a Roman Reigns faces. And I'm not advocating for Roman by any means. I don't like him whatsoever. I think he's smug. I think he's overrated. But
Edgelord.
Yeah, he's an edgelord for sure. But no, I don't see any reason why. Yeah, Brock is a bigger draw, of course, but like I don't see any reason why Brock shouldn't be fined. I'm not saying take him off SummerSlam, which, whatever if you do. The match is BS, Viper versus Beast. There's no build for it. Very disappointed after, seeing Brock and Undertaker last year to go live this year and see Brock and Randy.
That was a great match.
Yeah, it was. But, to go live and to see Brock and Randy. Whatever. It is what it is. But we're also going to see Finn and Seth, and we're also going to see Ziggler and Ambrose. So yeah, very exciting things going forward for the brand split and extension. And yeah, lots of things to. Hopefully, lots of good things to expect. Any closing thoughts?
Don't work yourself into a shoot, brother.
Don't work yourself. Come here, you. Hey, honky. This is quite the spread, isn't it? Yeah, it's coming out of your check, you fucking Mark. All right. Thank you all for tuning in to the what is it called? Speakin Mark. Thank you for tuning in.
Did you forget her that easily?
Forget her?
Forget her?
I did forget her. Thank you for tuning in to Speakin Mark with your host with the most, Pot Roast.
Get her.
And my co-host,
Chili con carne.
Chili con carne. We will see you again next week where we talk about more wrestling newsy type stuff. Have a good night. And
or if it's day when they're listening to it.
Have a good day then.
Or if it's afternoon.
Have a good whatever the fuck it is that you're doing. And, kayfabe be with you. Goodbye.